Yo, what's good? It's O.D.D.I.T.Y. Welcome back to another episode of The Craft, where we talk all things hip-hop, experiences, techniques, songwriting, anything hip-hop, and also just sometimes we just talk broadly about what's happening in the hip-hop world. So thank you guys for tuning in, and let's hop into this new episode.
Some just do it for the cash, others do it for the passion. Is you working on your craft? Is you really about that action? Some just do it for the cash, others do it for the passion. Is you working on your craft? Is you really about that action? The Craft. Welcome.
Now, I usually don't do this sort of thing. It's always been something that I kind of found like rooted in futility, because when you do things like this, it's you know, when you talk about who's the best or who's the greatest, it's objective, and these arguments are always pointless to have with other people, because everyone's opinion is based on their experiences and how certain artists and certain songs and certain time periods when you heard those and your own life experiences make you feel about an artist. And so how I feel about an artist, someone else might not, because when I heard that artist, I was at a point in my life where I connected with the artist, and so those nostalgic moments carry more weight than someone who may have heard that person when that music wasn't as impactful to them. So with that being said, I kind of preface it by saying, you know, this episode is about who I feel are the top 5 conscious rappers of all time. So let's get into it. Now, I know these lists always catch flack, and it is what it is. You know, that comes with the territory. Again, it's not for me to decide how you feel about my list, but we're going to work backwards from 5 to number 1. And let's get into it. So number 5 on my top 5 of all time conscious rappers list is Tupac. And again, this is subjective. Some people might have him higher on the list, some people might not have him on the list, but the reason I have him number 5 is because I feel like when you're talking about mainstream conscious, he might not have been the most lyrical, and the thing with conscious is you don't necessarily have to be lyrical. I think it's talking about topics, talking about prevalent topics in a way that people can connect through music. And so Tupac, I think he was one of the best ever at taking serious topics, taking problems within the black community, taking his own experiences and making songs about them in a way that wasn't just very niche, where it was, you know, underground sounding. He could do it in a way that crossed over into the mainstream and reach the widest amount of audience that I feel like any conscious rapper has, you know. And this was before social media, so it was, you know, I could have put him higher on the list because he did this before he could just tweet his music video out or whatever, you know. So he did this at a time where there was direct channels, and if you weren't a part of those channels, your music wasn't getting out. And so Tupac was great at storytelling. And while he may not have been the most lyrical, he was great painting a picture within that structure of a song and connecting with people on topics that a lot of people could relate to. So number 5 is Tupac. Number 4, I think it's hard to choose between the two, so I put them together in a group. So Outkast, because Big Boy has his own, could be his own, and so could Andre, you know, so could 3 Stacks. But together, I think when you're talking about putting lyrical conscious meets mainstream, they did it in a way that I haven't seen done since. You got suburban girls, you got older people, you got families, you got inner city, everybody singing his stuff, and not realizing that while it sounds fun and upbeat and up-tempo and silly sometimes, there was a message and a meaning behind it, and sometimes it was layered. And Outkast was great at knowing and understanding visually what the mainstream wanted and sonically what the mainstream wanted, but also staying true to the storytelling and presenting topics within their music that, you know, sometimes you catch it the first time, sometimes you listen back and you're like, damn, these dudes was really talking about something, you know? And not everything conscious has to be a serious topic. I think being conscious means you're aware of life and you're aware of experiences and you're aware of how things make people feel, and being able to put that awareness into a song that they were multi-dimensional. It wasn't just, I'm going to talk about this topic and directly this is what it is. They were able to talk about this topic, but then mix a production or mix the way they delivered it, or the way that the video was shot in a way that it was like layered. And so I've always respected Outkast for that. So number four, Outkast. Number 3, Lupe Fiasco. Now, if you're talking about pure lyricism, consciousness within a song, he some could argue he's number 1. And I wouldn't fight you on it. For me, I put him at number 3 because he was able, like, I think at his root, he was more underground sound, who was able to adapt and make songs that were mainstreams, where he, you know, he was able to meet the mainstream, I guess, halfway, and created some memorable, huge global hits. But at his root, you listen to his albums and the songs that weren't on radio, one of the best to ever do it lyrically. And I think consciously he was able to find that medium to meet mainstream. And so Lupe has always been someone I've admired and you know, studied and listened to his music, and how he was able to bring so much knowledge. It was almost like, when you listen to him, it's almost like a musical dictionary, a musical encyclopedia, where he's giving you so much history and knowledge within a song. And on his less mainstream songs, it was like you have to listen so many times to understand, and you have to almost get on Google and research parts of his songs to understand what he's saying. And his mainstream songs, obviously, you know, they blew up so much because they didn't have so many layers, and I think that's why I put him number 3. So Lupe Fiasco, number 3. Number 2, put J. Cole. I think J. Cole, out of this list, is the most, like, people would say his music is the most, quote unquote, like, boring, and maybe it's because of production, and he gets labeled like, he's like what people would label as the conscious, like a true conscious artist. But my thing is, he's had a lot of platinum albums, some of which didn't even have features, platinum songs, and he's able to bring the lyricism into a mainstream way while staying true to himself. And I think out of all these artists, he's least crossed over to the mainstream visually, and stayed true to himself, and his music has spoken for itself. So conscious mainstream wise, I think J. Cole is kind of an anomaly in terms of how he reached the mainstream. He hasn't sacrificed much of who he's been, and yes, he's evolved over the years, and his music has evolved, but I think he's kind of forced mainstream to come to him instead of him going to mainstream. And so I respect that. J. Cole, number 2. Number 1, y'all probably know at this point who it is, but Kendrick Lamar, K-Dot. I think he's kind of similar to J. Cole in terms of some of his songs being super conscious and could turn some people off, but the songs that have hit off his album, I think that they were less made for mainstream, yes, they have mainstream appeal, whether it's the hooks, you know, or some of the production, but his production is still very unique. His delivery is still very much him. And I think when he first came out, it was weird the way he sounded, and then, you know, but like, he's another person. I think the number one person that has forced mainstream to come to him. And yes, he's kind of pulled bits and pieces of mainstream, but he's forced it to come to him. And what I mean by that is he's forced the fans who follow mainstream sound to like his music, and being authentically himself. Kendrick is generational talent, and he's someone who is able to tell stories in a way that not too many artists are, but do so in a way that can be on the radio and can be in commercials and can be in movies and can be all these different places and marketed commercially. So yeah, you might not agree with my list, but again, it's subjective and it's my list. And if you want to argue about it, do so in the comments. We can debate. If you want to share this with people and clown me, do so. It doesn't matter to me. This is my list. This is, again, artists that have affected me in some way and I've connected with. And so, as always, if you haven't been to the channel before and you liked this video or you disliked it, react accordingly. Leave a comment, share, and catch me back here for another episode next week. I appreciate you guys. My name is O.D.D.I.T.Y.